So I tried to make this video once before. Actually, the next couple of videos I tried to make before, and it's no coincidence, I don't believe, that each time somebody interrupted me or something happened, or actually one of the videos was somehow erased on my own phone. And so this time I am working with the script. There's too many incidences for me to not work with the script. This video is important because recently I had some weird threats from some MAGA people, actually, because of my videos against Donald Trump and other situations. And so I feel it's necessary to make this video at this time. This video is about the assassination attempts against my person since I was a child. Okay. You know, there's a lot about me I didn't know until I was 45. And so a lot of people were messing with me during my life because of who I am, and I didn't know what exactly it was or why they were doing the things they were doing. It was just being, I just thought it was like weird circumstances and coincidences, but no. So it's what I call assassination attempts and near-death misses. Okay. So when I was a child, the first 3 attempts against my life were by my own brother. And I'm sure there's probably more, I just don't remember them. But you see, my brother, when he's 4 years older than me, he found out about the money, and he found out my parents loved me more, and so as a crazy psycho person, he tried to kill me several times. One time he tried to kill me by throwing me out of a tree. We were climbing up to the top of a pine tree near my house, and he tried to throw me out of the tree. Actually, he threw me out of the tree. And it was because of my flexibility as a child and my luck that as I fell down that tree, there were certain branches that broke my fall. And I ran home as best I could to tell my mom what had happened, and my brother was right behind me saying, "No, it was not true. He just fell," and all this stuff. He tried to throw me out of the tree. Very tall tree. The next one was this drowning incident where he tried to drown me in Greece in a place called Manganati, an island called Ios. And it was just at that moment lucky that my father came along, walked down to the beach, and saw my brother trying to drown me. And he got very angry at my brother. And then he pulled me aside and had a talk with me and told me to never to trust my brother ever again with my safety, and never hope that my brother's going to help me. It was my own father telling me that at the age of like 8. And the next one was this rake incident where my brother was really angry, and he had been told he had to go out and rake the leaves, and me and my other brother, my younger brother who's 4 years younger than me, went outside to watch him. And he tried to hit me with the rake in my head. And didn't work. I ducked. And instead of hitting me, he hit my younger brother. And to this day, my younger brother has a scar under his eye because of that incident. There are other incidents where he tried to put my hand in a grinder, all kinds of weird stuff. My older brother was a sadistic person. I remember in Greece, he was throwing baby cats against the wall to see how they would bleed. This is just a terrible person. So he tried to assassinate me at least 3 times. And in 1998, I had a near-death miss. I was on a United Airlines flight leaving Los Angeles, going to Costa Rica, that had a stopover in Guatemala City. As we arrived in Guatemala City at 4 a.m., I woke up and realized the plane was listing to the side really heavily, but I couldn't understand what was going on because out the window I saw this thing that looked like the sun, but it wasn't the sun, it was a volcanic eruption that happened. And we got caught in the plume of the ash, and we started going down because the engines got clogged with ash, and everybody started freaking out. If you've ever been on a plane and they tell you, "Oh, put the mask on," and everybody's smiling, no, it's not like that at all. It's like major bedlam when the plane's going down. I can guarantee you. But me and a doctor were sitting next to this man who had a heart attack, and we saved his life because the doctor spoke English and the man only spoke Spanish, and I was a translator. I've been a medical translator most of my life anyway. And so, we were going down, But the United Airlines pilots, and this is why I always try to fly in United. This is not a plug for United, but they're trained like thousands of hours of flight simulation with different situations, and they knew exactly what to do. And they turned the whole system off. When they turned the system off and the lights went off, everybody freaked out. And everybody said, "We're gonna die." And I was like, "No, we're not gonna die. I'm too young. I got a lot of shit to do." And so all of a sudden, we were about to hit the side of a mountain, but United Airlines pilots turned the system back on. See, because when they turned the system off, the engines cleared of the ash. The air came rushing through and cleared the ash out, and then they turned the systems on and we skidded out of there. And we had to have an emergency landing in in San Salvador. Not soon after that, I happened to be, if anybody's been to Costa Rica whitewater rafting, you know about the River Pacuar. And not long after that volcanic eruption that almost took my life and the plane going down, I was on the river. My tour guide buddies, we were adventure tour guides at that moment. They said, "Hey, let's go fishing tonight." And I was like, "Okay." So we went out, and I didn't realize that we get in the Land Cruiser and there's a raft. And I was like, "Wait a minute, we're going rafting?" "Yeah, we're going to raft the river tonight." I was like, "Have you guys ever done that?" "Oh yeah, we've done it many times." I was like, "I don't think so." It was lightly raining, but back then we didn't have any GPS. There was no smartphones. There was no way for us to know in the middle of the jungle what was about to happen. But what was happening was Hurricane Mitch was approaching. And if anybody knows about Hurricane Mitch, it was 3 hurricanes that formed into one. It was one of the most powerful hurricanes on record ever. It just flattened Central America. And we happened to be on the River Pacuar at night in the middle of a hurricane, one of the worst hurricanes ever. And we rafted that river, and nobody fell out of the boat. It was like, man, we could all have died that night. Nobody would have ever known. Our bodies would have been eaten by animals and bugs and whatever. But we made it to the Caribbean and survived. And everybody was like shocked. If we'd had a camera, we would have had a Guinness Book of World Records for sure. Now, in 1999, I'm not sure if it was an assassination attempt or not, but strangely enough, my ex-wife, my first ex-wife, was sent to New Jersey. And it was really strange to me because it seemed like she was being prepared to be with me. And at one point, the Bank of New York came up, and I didn't understand what the hell that was all about. But she went to some summer camp, supposedly, which I don't believe. Now I don't believe it. And but she left me with her car. She just met me a couple months before, but she invited me to come live with her dad and her. And she was the only one living with her dad after everybody found out her dad was cheating on her mom. And maybe, I don't want to get into that one with her and her dad. But we ended up living here with her dad, and she gave me the keys to her Honda Civic, this brand new red Honda Civic. And I understand what, that was all about. But in the summer of 99, somebody tried to kill me. And somebody rear-ended me going 60 miles an hour. And everybody knew I never wore my seatbelt. But that day, for some reason, I wore my seatbelt. And so instead of dying, I just had this really bad whiplash that I have to this day, pretty much, because it was a really bad accident. So I don't know if that was an assassination attempt or not, but that was a near-death miss for sure. And so then in 2004, I had a problem where somebody tried to assassinate me inside a prison where I was. And I don't have any bones about it. I tried to help a woman cross the border to get into this country so she could work. A nice old lady who deserved to come here to be with her family in Los Angeles, and I got caught at the border, and I went and did some time. And ended up, in order to avoid that assassination attempt, which is possible, launched by my own father-in-law, my ex-father-in-law, and a prison guard who was a friend of his, I decided to have myself thrown in solitary for 45 days, and I filed a writ of habeas corpus, which the court reviewed only after I finally got out of prison. Justice, speedy justice, no. But anyway, that was possibly an assassination attempt paid for by my ex-father-in-law. In 2011 and 2012, my second ex-wife, after my mom had died, was trying to subtly poison me. And I ended up going to the hospital, and the doctors pulled a huge ball of black goo out of my stomach. which they thought was cancer in the beginning, but it was not. And they wanted to know if they should call the police or whatever. And I was like, no, don't call the police. I got my kids at home with this woman, and I'm in the hospital. My kids are going to custody of the state or whatever, and I don't want that. So I never proceeded against my ex. I just kicked her out of my life. Never let her prepare food for me ever again. That's for sure. In 2016, I was in Eugene, Oregon, and suffered another attempted poisoning by a guy uh, who was my friend and my younger brother, who's always had it in for me, hacking me, doing weird stuff behind my back in my life. Got a hold of this guy named Joe. And I believe it was part of a plot that my little brother had going on with Joe, because all of a sudden Joe came over to my house one day wanting to hang out and smoke some pot and eat a burrito. But Joe never eats burritos. He doesn't like them. So it was really odd to me that he called me and said, hey, I got a burrito I'm bringing over to your house. And we were just at a Mexican restaurant. And I was like, really? Okay, whatever. And he came over with this burrito. You know how those burritos are always wrapped really tight in that tinfoil? Well, this burrito wasn't wrapped really tight and the tinfoil was open and all that stuff. And I looked inside and it was just like black goo going through the whole burrito. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. So I put it to the side and I said, hey, Joe, I'm not really hungry right now. I'm going to eat that later. So after a minute, he left. I put the burrito in the freezer. And a week later, he called me. He was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm doing great. He's like, wow, I'm so glad you're doing well. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I be? Hey, I told him, if you're hungry, you come over to my house. I saved that burrito, actually. I froze it, and I can microwave it for you, and you can eat that burrito. Man, did he hang up the phone with me really quick, and I never saw him again. Now, I'm not the kind of guy to go to the police with every little single thing that happens to me, because I'd rather settle things on my own, like my grandfather taught me, without involving the law and the police and all that stuff. I try my hardest. So then, like, all of a sudden, that same spring, this guy is directed to my house to try and rent my garden space from me. He wants to rent my space, set up a tent. He's with his girlfriend. Turns out he's a rapist on the run from the law, armed rapist on the run from the law with a hostage. Had to call the cops. First time ever in my life I had to call the cops to my door. Feds, everybody, state, local, county, and I had to convince this guy to come out of his tent, nice and easy because he's already surrounded, and to let go of the girl. And the girl and her family were so happy, that I was the person that I was. I was a hero, even though it was never reported in the news, which is kind of weird, but I don't care. So then, imagine, a rapist went right from my fucking house to straight to prison because I turned him in instantly and solved a huge hostage crisis, and that me. So then in 2018, I got that one on another video in my channel. You can see that in Oaxaca during a custody battle for my other kids. This guy shows up at my hotel wanting to beat me up. And somebody had paid him 5,000 pesos, which is about, in today's world, it's about, back then it was about $500 almost, but in today's world it's about 250. He wanted to beat me up. He wanted to have a knife fight with me, whatever, and we got it all on tape. Instead of beating me up, he beat up the hotel manager, this poor woman named Flora, who was my friend. Popped her in the eye. I had to take her to the hospital. It's terrible, That one was probably a hire from my ex-wife in Oaxaca, who was trying to get me killed instead of letting me have my kids because she's fighting with me for the trust payments and all this shit. Fucking A. Oh, yeah, back in 2010, I was in Las Vegas, and my brother and my ex from Oaxaca snitched on me. I was busted on the street with a buddy of mine with like a kilo of pot, and that didn't work out too well because for some reason the city of Las Vegas police department lost the evidence in the evidence room. Can't imagine how that might have happened. So there was no case, didn't proceed. But when I got out county after 6 days, I called my ex in Oaxaca. Hey, how are the kids? Oh, you got out? I was like, what? How did you know? You shouldn't. I didn't tell anybody. How do you even know I was held or whatever? Oh, oh. And she hung up on me. Cat out of the bag. Shit. I should have known. But anyway, 2019 in inner city Mexico City, uh, there was another attempt by somebody. I don't know who. And I had to flatten the guy. I think my knuckles still, my thumb and knuckle still messed up from that one, years ago. Uh, then in 2019, in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, my third ex, knowing that I like to puff, she turned the gas on in the house, closed all the windows while I was taking a nap, and went out for a walk, hoping that I would wake up and light up, and boom! And she didn't just turn on the gas; she turned on the tank and turned on the oven. Kind of hard to make that mistake. Oh, I didn't know. So, I went and I smelled the gas, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I turned the gas off, and I turned the oven off, and I opened the windows, and waited a minute, and then I had my puff. So then, 2020, okay. Oh, I got to go back to 1998 for the reason why I went to Costa Rica. The reason why I went to Costa Rica is because these guys in Portland, Oregon, these big, tough mafia guys, were looking for me. My friends told me, and they looked like they had pieces underneath their arms and stuff. And they said that they were looking for me and whatever. And so I went to the Greek Orthodox Church and I told the father about my situation and who I am. And he said, "Hey, you need to get out of town. Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Hey, it seems like maybe I should go to Costa Rica. I know a lot about the jungle. I can just go live in the jungle for a minute. And if anybody tries to follow me there, man, I think the jungle will kill them." So imagine the Greek Orthodox Church said, "Go forth, young man. Here's your plane ticket. Here's $300 cash in your pocket. Get out of Dodge." So then in 2020, I'm in my little ranchito in Oaxaca, Mexico, with 150 chickens and my 2 dogs and my palapa and my cornrows and my watermelon all planted up. It's COVID, middle of COVID, and these guys come to kidnap me. 2 guys come to kidnap me, and find out that they're sent by my ex, and talk with them for a minute, tell them a couple stories, mention a couple names, and all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, we don't really want to kidnap you, man. You're a nice guy. We're gonna respect you and not respect your ex-wife and let you go." That was kind of nice. Unfortunately for them, because they were kidnappers in general, not too long after that they died trying to kidnap some kid out of a village. They just got killed by the villagers. Yeah. Then not soon after that, like 2 weeks after that event, a guy comes to my ranch with a 9mm, wanting to gun me down for 5,000 pesos. Said, give me money, or I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna shoot. I said, "Go ahead and shoot your gun. You ain't getting shit out of me." So he shot his 9mm, and the bullets went right by my head. And I had my machete, and I started running after him because his gun froze up or something. He couldn't shoot anymore. And I think he was high on meth, because he looked all fucked up. And he got on his motorcycle. He couldn't even get out of there, But he got out. But a week later, he wasn't but a kilometer away from me trying to rob somebody else when the National Guard showed up and shot him dead because he had tried to have a shootout with the National Guard. So the point of the story is, please, if you're thinking of trying to do something wrong to me, just don't, because the karma is too terrible for you. And for these people who tried to do these hurtful things to me, they're all fucked up and face down in the gutter in their lives, wherever they are, or they're just simply dead. So then, then my ex had my baby, and she came to be with me supposedly, but she wasn't. She's crazy nutbag, and she tried to kill me with a machete. I had to kick her out of my life at that point again, and tried to kill me with a machete with my baby in my arms even, It's like, what? Totally nutty bitch. Got to go back to 2018. Sorry, working off a list here that it came out of my head, right? 2018, I was in Nicaragua. And I was at a hotel. I was in a room. And the bathroom's off to the side. There's no plumbing underneath my room. It's the dry season, no rain. But in the nighttime, somehow my room filled up with water. And everybody knew that that room had a problem with the light switch. It was exposed. So like these Americans, it was obviously like some CIA couple, two agents that were posing as a father and a daughter, come and they asked me a lot of questions about Trump. They asked me why I'm not coming back to the States and this and that and the other thing. And then during the night, my room mysteriously fills up with water. And when I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like almost ankle deep in water. And instead of going to the light switch, I went to the door and opened the door. And right outside my room on the patio, these two Americans were sitting there at the table with their backpacks all ready and shit. And boy, they were the ones who were shocked, not me, because I was still alive. And boy, they hightailed it out of there like you'd never seen, you know. And I asked, I had become friends with the people there because I stayed there for like a month. And so the guy, the maintenance guy, I asked him, I was like, how is it possible there's water in my room? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, is there any plumbing underneath? Are you missing any water out of your cistern tank? No. Did it rain last night? No. Well, how did the room fill up with water? I don't know. You know, it had to be these American guys trying to kill me. Not too long after that, in Nicaragua at the same town, I went out for a horseback ride supposedly, and they tried to put me on a horse that had never been ridden. And because I have such a great rapport with animals, literally, seriously, you can see some of my videos where there's even birds sitting on my shoulder, kissing me and stuff, and being nice to me. The horse when I showed up and I gave the horse an apple, and then I whispered some sweet words into his ear. And then I got on him and rode him for like 10 yards before I realized he was going to buck me off. And I got off the horse before he bucked me. But this was another attempt. I mean, you don't put somebody on a horse that's never been ridden without knowing about it. Who did that? Why? So then I was leaving Nicaragua in the town of Chinandega in northern Nicaragua. Somebody tried to run me over in their car. I don't know. I mean, shit, Nicaragua's a socialist country. They shouldn't want to do anything to me. But Nicaragua is also controlled by the Rothschild banking system. Because if you look at the Nicaraguan money, it has the Eye of Ra and the pyramid on it. So it's like controlled by that secret society, Nicaragua even, you know. In 2021, my third ex, threatens to kill me again. In 2022, she attacks me and follows me and threatens my life again, you know. In 2023, she hacks me and stalks me and tells me that my brothers are helping her. She sends thugs to stand outside my house, and I had to beat one of them up before the other one ran off. Because, you know, I'm not the biggest guy, but I'll tell you what, you don't want to try and roll up on me. Because I've been in a lot of fights, but I still got all my teeth, and my nose isn't broken. I'm 58 almost, and my hands are still okay, except for this knuckle and thumb thing, but that's okay. Yeah, and I had to beat him up and run for my life, basically. You know, not cool. This stuff's not cool. So, you know, assassination attempts, right? Most kidnappings, a majority of kidnappings and assassination attempts occur between people who know each other. They're not random occurrences. So I have evidence that my brother had been hacking me at least since 2009. And I have evidence of strange events happening in my life. Strange people showing up at hotels, mostly Jewish women too, showing up and trying to do weird stuff and create scenes where they try to invalidate me in front of people who they don't even know. They don't even know me. Why would they even try? Just so many different incidents. I just mentioned the most serious ones. So recently I had a threat and various threats. And so I'm making this video now so you can know. Thanks. Leopold Richard Bamberg Alavizos reporting about the assassination attempts and near-death misses in my life.